Welcome to the Reiki Business Collective, where Reiki business owners come together to share information, support one another, and serve the world. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, interviewing and inviting Reiki business owners to join the conversation in the Reiki Business Collective Facebook group. Thank you. Welcome to this episode of Reiki Business Collective. In this episode, we are talking with Rickie Freedman. Rickie of Reiki by Rickie, Reiki Space and Learning Place in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, is a Reiki master teacher with a background as a physical therapist. She is a sound and voice healer and holistic wellness coach, offering sessions, classes, workshops, and events, including Reiki for healthcare professionals and Reiki Kids. Her mentorship program, Follow Your Heart and Do It Smart, guides Reiki practitioners in taking the next step from passion to profession in their practices. Rickie, welcome to Reiki Business Collective. Thank you so much for being here.
Christian, I love that because many people get tongue-tied, and I actually created, I'm not going to sing it now, but a little song about the Reiki is the Rickie and the Rickie is the Reiki. So it really doesn't matter. It's all one and the same. And I finally figured out after all these years of why I'm a girl named Rickie. So that's awesome.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, please do tell us about your business.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I started learning Reiki way back in 1994, 1995, and I was a full-time physical therapist then. And I'm going to share a little of my story because I think people relate to many different aspects of it. So this will take a moment or two because I've been doing this for a while. So I started learning Reiki back in about 1994. And as many of us, the nurturer, caregiver personality part of the Reiki was very quickly drawn to sharing this. And I would share it in my physical therapy setting with other healthcare workers, and gradually created a room in my home where I started my first Reiki practice, very part-time initially, for people I knew primarily. And I used the rainbow as the theme on all my business cards because it was that connection of Eastern and Western medicine and the complementary medicine with traditional physical therapy, and bridging that gap with all the energetic colors of the rainbow. And I actually hand carved a stamp so that I could hand stamp every business card back then and have my energy into every one, which I could do at that time because it was still very part-time. So what happened was I was doing physical therapy work at a nursing home, and one of the nurses there decided to open a little wellness center. I was living in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania at the time, which is a small rural conservative college town, as you well know, Christian. And she was one of my clients and asked me to come share Reiki there. And I have to tell you that in that moment, that felt like a very big decision. In retrospect, it's all a no-brainer, but at the time, we all come to these choice points along our journey. You know, am I ready? Am I worthy? Is it time? And we ask ourselves these questions when we make these choices. So my concern with going from my little practice in my home to an actual healing center, first of all, no one in Little Lewisburg heard of Reiki, so it was brand new. And even though they were offering other complementary services like reflexology and massage, they were much more known than Reiki was. I I just wasn't sure how it was going to fly there. And I also, in my little Reiki room in my home, I didn't charge a fee. I had a love donation box in the room that felt very spiritual to me. Everyone could contribute whatever they were comfortable, and that allowed a lot of people who wouldn't ordinarily have the means to experience Reiki to have that experience, and that was awesome. So I knew that if I was going to go into a professional space, that I'd have to charge a fee because I had to pay rent, right? These are logistics of business. And that felt like a very big growing edge to me at the time, which I now know had to do with my own self-worth and the worth of what I was sharing. So I have long ago learned that my role in this journey is always, when I am guided, to say yes and just trust and step forward in total faith. So that's what I did. And amazingly enough, the Reiki practice at this business in Lewisburg, which they called Lavender Heart, which started all the purple that's now in my world, the Reiki practice started taking off more than anything else there. So it wasn't just my friends and coworkers anymore. The community was starting to come for Reiki, and that was awesome. That really just kind of blew me away at the time, honestly. And so I continued sharing Reiki, and I know the reason why it was so successful is I believe in this with every fiber of my being, and that energy radiates and people feel it and they're attracted to it. So I started to not be able to hold both balls. In other words, have my full-time physical therapy practice and my Reiki business, which was growing. I didn't call it a business then. I still hadn't grown into that role. So I came to another very huge choice point for me was, am I ready to let go of my full-time physical therapy work? I could still do what's called PRN work. In other words, places would call me as they needed me. So I had that income, but that meant I had to get all my own benefits, including health insurance. So that was another choice point for me. And I held my breath once again and said the big yes and continued to step forward. And my Reiki practice was growing. And then the nurse who started Lavender Heart decided to leave. She decided to go back to nursing. And there was no one else there who would have taken over this practice, this business. The choice was either to go back to the room in my home, which you need to be much more mindful of the energy that you have to your home, and you can't really, promote it because it's in a residential neighborhood. You're not allowed to do that logistically. Or I would have to step into taking over Lavender Heart. And I have to tell you, in a million years, I never considered myself a business person. I am always the service girl. So this was a very big step for me. And obviously I did say yes, and there was no on-the-job training. She just left. So I just had to kind of grow into that role, and I'm still growing and learning all the time. So I took over Lavender Heart, changed the name to Lavender Heart Wellness Center so people would have a better sense of what we were offering there. Wrote a little jingle and sang it on the radio, which in a small town is not a big deal. And continued to grow my practice. And then the building had a fire. So another big choice point, felt like a huge message from the universe that it was time for a change. So I took my Reiki table on the road, literally, and shared Reiki all over town with my friends who had businesses and practices until I found my own space. I went in by myself right downtown Lewisburg, and put it right out there, Lavender Heart Reiki Center. And my Reiki practice continued to grow. I started to teach classes there, and it came to the point where I was only doing physical therapy 2 or 3 mornings a week, and the rest was all Reiki, which in retrospect, in that small little town, was really an amazing accomplishment. I didn't realize it at the time, just taking one step in front of the other. So I received a very strong lightning bolt intuition that coming to Harrisburg needed to be the next step for me. And I had a lot of internal resistance about that because my left logical thinking brain could not fathom why I would leave this small town that I loved. I had grown up in Philadelphia, so it was quite a contrast. And my Reiki practice, which was like my baby, I birthed it. You know, you have this energetic resonance with your clients, and they loved me and I loved them. You know, why should I leave that? However, this is not a matter of logic, right? When you're guided, you can resist all you want and try to paddle upstream, but eventually, you know, it's time to throw the paddles in the water and surrender. And that's what I did. I talked to a massage therapy practice and I said, if I move to Harrisburg, can I come share Reiki there on the weekends? And she said, that would be great. I have a room from Thursday to Sunday. And so all of a sudden, with a tiny little shift in perception, I realized I didn't have to give up anything. You know, that I could still share Reiki, my Reiki love with all my clients, right? And I could move to Harrisburg and follow my guidance. So that's exactly what I did. The moment that I got to Harrisburg, I got another lightning bolt intuition, and it said, it's time to let go of the security blanket and really do this. And the security blanket for me was the physical therapy work, right? So I totally trusted my guidance, moving to an area where I knew one person, where the word Reiki was not out and about in the community. It was very new, but I stepped forward in 100% faith, zero fear. I knew with every fiber of my being that this was going to work. So I went into someone else's practice at first so that I could establish myself in the area, establish my expertise and some credibility, and educate about Reiki. I, took my Reiki table everywhere they would let me, and I did a lot of workshops, lunch and learns, health fairs, events, shared a lot of complimentary mini sessions because you all know that Reiki is so much of an experience that people need to feel it. And my Reiki practice grew faster than I could imagine. I moved to Harrisburg in 2008. In 2013, I was again very clearly guided that it was time, before the Rickie knew she was ready, right? And so I used the energetic laws of attraction literally to manifest Reiki space and learning place. So I created a vision of exactly what I would want based on my years of experience and what my clients had shared with me and my higher vision. I took that vision and put it down on a piece of paper. I shared it out loud with a trusted friend, and I Reiki'd that vision and very quickly found the perfect spot. Now, I have to tell you, my vision matched what I created here at Reiki Space and Learning Place, except for one little detail. So I'm going to describe for you a little bit what Reiki Space is like. Okay, so what I wanted, I knew I did not want a square box office building. That would not fit for me. I'm very much a flow girl. I wanted something that was like a house, but with lots of parking, because I wanted to do big events and workshops and classes. That's exactly what the outside of this building that I'm in now looks like. It looks like a big house with lots of parking. I wanted an office and a waiting area where I could have some products that would support my clients' well-being and personal growth. I wanted a kitchen that I could use with my classroom, because with Reiki, classes, people are there all day. And I wanted them to be able to bring lunch, and we'd have a refrigerator and a microwave, and always coffee, tea, and water to help people feel comfortable and at home, and give that very homey, nurturing feeling to the space, while also it's very professional and grounded. And Christian, you've been there, so you know this, because I work with a lot of other traditional healthcare professionals and professionals in general, and I want everyone to feel comfortable there. I wanted, initially, I wanted 3 healing rooms. However, because of the logistics of the windows, I could only have 2 here. And I wanted the quiet room, which is my favorite part of the space, where people can, after their Reiki sessions, when they're still all floaty, spacey, they can snuggle into a recliner and just take all the time they need to process and integrate the work. This was not an in and out experience. So all of those things came exactly as my vision, except for that 3rd healing room. And I kind of totally forgot about it and let it go. And so several months ago, I was on a Facebook Live talking about the law of attraction and sharing this story. And I was in the midst of getting ready to open the newest part of my space, which is called Enlighten, a room of bringing together healers and readers and intuitives from all over the region in an effort of cooperation and collaboration. And all of a sudden, I realized in the middle of that Facebook Live, I got my 3rd healing space. It's not about my time. It's always in divine and perfect timing. And this divine and perfect timing was in the middle of a pandemic, where I could show people my intention was that we're not going to just survive this. We are going to creatively grow and thrive through this. And so here I am with my almost exact vision created using these energetic laws. So that's a little bit of my story. And it's awesome, and it's still coming, which is amazing to me. I just turned 65, and lots of my friends are talking about retirement, and I just feel like there's so much more awesomeness to come. Yeah.
Wow, that is wonderful, Rickie. Thank you so much for that story. That was really fun to listen to, and I could really feel I was right in there with you through the whole process. So that was really fun. Thank you. So, Rickie, can you please tell us, this idea that you used the law of attraction, you used energetic laws to help you get to where you are right now. Can you tell us more about that?
Right. So I think the important part of that is that I believe with every fiber of my being that for a Reiki center to survive and thrive, be concrete and lasting, it needs to be, and I need to be, in total alignment with Reiki. Right? So that means that the space is managed by the Reiki healing principles, which we'll talk more about that, I'm sure. But it's basically managed with love and service. Zero focus on dollars, numbers, competition, or fear. And that is very different than many traditional businesses. And I know that's why Reiki Space works, because everything we do here is based on these energetic principles. I have, in addition to myself, I have about 10 Reiki Space practitioners that have all received Reiki training with me that can share their work here. And it's not because, my Reiki training is bigger, better, more, because, my big saying is the source, of course. It's that we present, because I believe that, it's that we present a unified attitude and philosophy about Reiki. And so the practitioners themselves all get a free trade with each other so they can keep themselves filled up, right? Because if you're not filled up, you are not going to be able to just let that energy flow through you in a healthy way. And that's really, really important to me. Like I said, we follow these energetic laws. So let me share a little bit about my personal perspective about the Reiki healing principles, because it is a little bit different and unique. And it's not based on ego at all. I just need you to know that, because I call my version of these the Reiki healing principles, but it's not about the Reiki. It's never about the Reiki. So I want you to know that. So, we all know the Reiki healing principles. They all start with just for today, I release all anger. And just for today, I release all worry. So these two in particular, I modified in a way that feels more in alignment with me, and based on my personal experiences, because I know that everyone listening to this has been through challenges in their life, right? That's what brings you and moves you along this path of wanting to be in service to others and being able to attract that energy to you from a place of empathy. So having gone through very challenging times in my personal life, just for today felt way too long during those times. For me, it was literally a moment by moment, breath by breath choice to bring it back, right? And I think everyone can relate to that. So, and also because I live Reiki by doing my own personal work, which includes my self Reiki every day, my grounding practice, building and radiating my light, and living by these Reiki healing principles. I recite these principles, inside myself and out loud a lot. And I'm very conscious of the energy of words themselves. Now, I know these Reiki healing principles were not designed as affirmations. They were designed as teaching tools to meditate upon. And I honored the sacred tradition of Reiki. That's what I teach, pretty pure Usui Reiki. And because I say these so often, I don't want to keep saying the words worry, anger all day long, right? From the law of attraction, that's not what I choose to attract to myself. So I say, in this moment, I choose, I love that choice word, instead of worry, I choose faith. And this is not from any religious perspective. It is the perspective that I trust that everything happens for a reason, and that even though I'm in a challenging time, I will get to the other side of it. And I know that while I'm in the midst of a challenging time, I can't figure out the purpose and the lessons. But once I do get to the other side of it, I will be able to see all the strengths and the gifts and the lessons that have led me to exactly where I need to be, right? So I trust that process so much. And that's what I mean. In this moment, I choose faith, okay? Because faith and fear, faith and worry, to me, don't coexist in the same moment, right? Right? So for the second principle, in this moment, I release all, just for today, I release all anger. I say, in this moment, I choose peace. That word feels so good to me. I can feel it while I say it, and that's what I want to attract more and more of into my life and into my world. And so then of course we have, I honor every living thing, which to me is about honoring the oneness, right? So, we all have all the aspects within us, and they say there, but for the grace of God go I, and it allows us to be in a place of compassion, right? So we may not always agree with the behavior, but we always can be in compassion for how it must feel to have to make choices like that, right? And being able to send Reiki to that, right? And so, in a logistical example, someone forgets their appointment. There are times in every one of our lives when we've done that, right? So, I am just in a place of compassion and forgiveness, and people feel that, and that comes back manyfold, right? I, from a business perspective, have a quote unquote cancellation policy. I have never had to enforce it because my clients are so regular. They have themselves scheduled in for the whole year, and they led me to that, not vice versa. And they feel terrible when they miss their session. They want their Reiki. So there's no need for me to do that, right? So, they feel that energy and that comes back around, right? And then, of course, the principle of I earn my living with integrity. So, of course, we want to be honest in our work, right? When we're not honest, our gut speaks for us. But for me, this is way bigger than that. This is, are you living in integrity with your core values, your non-negotiables in the world, right? Are you making choices and decisions in your work and your life that align with that? Are you sharing your unique gifts and passions for the world? Or are you taking a job because of other reasons, right? And we all know those reasons, whether it be finances or benefits or whatever, but that it doesn't feel in alignment and integrity with who you are, right? The world needs what each of us has to offer. And the true Reiki path is about being more and more of our true selves in the world and letting our divine light shine and radiate. And when you lead with your light in every atmosphere, there's very little that your words need to share, because people feel your light and your energy and they are attracted to it. And they say, they may not understand why, but they say, I want what she's got or what he's got, right? They feel it. So that's awesome. And of course, the last one is about gratitude. Just remembering all the many blessings we have. It's physiologically impossible to be stressed and grateful at the same moment. And the purpose of these Reiki healing principles are to help us keep our vibration up so that we can attract more the abundance of every source, which can be finances, which is an energy and has a flow, but can also be an abundance of peace and joy and love and bliss and all those, things that we desire to attract. And, the just for today or in this moment is about staying present, right? All our energetic power is in this moment. And when we, are going over and over things from the past, maybe mistakes that we feel we've made, it just drains your energy, right? It doesn't serve anything. You want to use it to learn from, and it becomes part of who you are in the world, right? And when you are thinking about what might or might not happen in the future, which is so easy to do during these challenging times that we've all been in, that drains your energy too. And not only that, it creates the same exact physiologic stress related changes in your body as if you were in the midst of whatever you're thinking about. And you're not, it's only in your thoughts. So, your breath and the energy of your thoughts and your emotions and your attitudes determine the hormones that your brain secretes, determines your wellness and your well-being. And in order for us to be a healing presence for others, we need to be in a place as best as humanly possible in our own place of balance and high vibration. And worry and anger is just going to pull you down and pull down everyone around, because our energy radiates and we feel each other. So yeah, that's a lot. I just kept going and let it flow through, so I hope it was helpful.
Oh, absolutely, Ricky. That was beautiful. So thank you so much. That's really very powerful. I love the way in which you've taken, the all of those ideas and turned them into real positives because of the power of words. And too, Ricky, as I heard you talking about them at that last final time, and the anger and the worry, it just really occurred to me that that is bad for customer service. That is bad for client relations. That is bad for serving people, to come at it from a standpoint of anger and worry and fear. So these are really powerful, definitely on a personal level, and absolutely on a professional level too with our businesses. So this is really great, Ricky. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I also always think it's important to acknowledge that following a Reiki path honors our humanness, right? So it's a path of integrity, of feeling and allowing every emotion to be felt and expressed in a healthy way that balances our head and our heart, and then making the choice to come back to our place of peace, right? For our own well-being and for the well-being of our clients and students, and on out into the world. So it's not about being a Pollyanna and making pretend, right? We've all been through a very challenging time, and we need to allow and express all our feelings so that we don't stuff them into our being, right? And then we make the choice to be that healing presence, to be Reiki, right? So, to me, that's what stepping forward into that, area of responsibility of being a Reiki master is. You go from sharing Reiki to being and living Reiki. And not only when you're in your Reiki space, as I am in mine at this moment, but in every aspect of your life. This is who you are and how you are in the world, whether you're at home, whether you're at the grocery store, because you never know from a business perspective who's going to tap you on that shoulder while you're squeezing those melons and say, what the heck is Reiki? And so, it's really important for you to be able to breathe in that space and that energy, so that you can connect with that person in a grounded way and an intuitive way to share exactly what they need to hear and what they're ready to hear in that moment. It's all about them. Yeah. So, I spend a lot of time with my students on how to do this experience justice with words. And I wait all the way to the master practitioner level to do that, because I feel that you need to get Reiki down to your bones to do it justice with words. And also, as you move forward with your own work and with your attunements, you're able to tap into more and more of your intuition. And speaking about Reiki to people or to a group, you need to intuitively connect with where they are very quickly so that you can choose the right languaging, not to say too much to get that glazed over eyes look, right? And, focus on what they need to hear for their benefits. It's not about you just spewing from an ego place ever.
Yes, Rickie, this is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing this. To hear you talk really made me think of this idea. I think that oftentimes we kind of separate and compartmentalize our lives and say, okay, this is my business, this is over here. And what you're really saying, and it's so true, is no, you've got to be Reiki, not just when you're sending Reiki, but always when you are even in the grocery store trying to decide which melons are the ones you want to buy.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I remember being at a networking meeting many years ago, and a woman said a quote that stuck with me: "How you do anything is how you do everything." And, you are your brand. Many, many years ago, when I was sharing in Lewisburg, a woman came into my practice who was starting a magazine called Peace of the Valley, Peace. And this woman was a type A, stressed out chain smoker. And I knew and shared with her that if she wanted this to be successful, she needed to be Peace of the Valley, right? And that's how it is. This is not something that you do. In the beginning, as you're learning it, that's what you think, but that's not true. So, right, this is who you are in the world. And when you do your own work every day, which I really stress to my students, it just becomes natural. It's not something you have to think about or try, right? And it feels so good. You learn the contrast of how it feels to be in your peaceful Reiki space and how it feels when you are knocked off center, because that's going to happen. We're spiritual beings having this human experience. We still have things to learn. We are going to be knocked off left and right, but we might not be knocked as far off, and we have the tools to be able to bring ourselves back and stay there a little bit easier and a little bit longer every time. And that is for our own benefits. Every level of Reiki, to me, is all about our own healing, right? And as we shift our own vibration, even if we never put our hands on anyone else, it shifts what we radiate out into the world, and we become a healing presence. And
Yes.
that's what the world needs. Energy increases exponentially. It's more than just yours plus mine equal 2, right? It becomes way more powerful than that. And that's why I love that you're sharing this, Christian. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Rickie. That is absolutely beautiful and inspiring and just wonderful. So thank you so much. Incredibly powerful. Rickie, we could talk about this all day. I'm sure we could listen to you talk about these practices all day, because it is truly beautiful and inspiring. But before we go, I want to make sure to ask just a couple more questions. First of
Sure.
all, is there anything that you would like to say finally about these practices, the energetics of managing your business, and also, what do you have coming up, and how can people get in touch with you?
Thank you. Well, I guess if I had one really important thing that I do stress. It's about the importance of grounding, because so many of us are very open and connected, but in order to be able to take that divine inspiration, guidance, and ideas and step it forwards in a real, concrete, and lasting way, maybe create a structure or create a practice that is consistent, you have to be grounded. And the beautiful thing is, of course, all of us know as Reiki people, you don't have to choose. You can be grounded and connected so that you can have that balance and that flow. But that is really important. It feels really good to be in the Reiki spacey, floaty place, right? And some of us want to just live there and stay there, but we're here on the earth for a reason, and we need to bring our gifts, talents, and abilities in a functional way, so that we can share our gifts with the world. So I would think that would be something that's really important, balancing that inspiration current with the manifestation current, which is the grounding current. So, yeah. So as far as, I always have a lot of events, workshops, and classes going here at Reiki Space. I have a beautiful website, ReikiByRickie.com, where you can see all the events, workshops, and classes, both in Reiki Space and our new room in Light 10, which has, some really unique offerings. Also, I do share some virtual offerings as well. If there are people listening that are not local, I offer a workshop called From Passion to Profession. Yes, you can, periodically. And I also wanted to make the offer to anyone who listens and reaches out to me, sends me your email address, that I have an article that I wrote, which is called Managing Your Practice by the Reiki Healing Principles, that I would be happy and delighted to share with anybody who would like a copy of that. I'll be, of course, sharing this in Facebook World, so this will be open. This offer is open to them also. I do also need to tell you my next venture here. You can't see, but I forgot, this is only listening, but right behind me is my Reiki Kids coloring book that I created during shutdown to help kids be able to learn Reiki and help other practitioners use it as their manual so that they can share Reiki with kids. And if you're interested in that, I have a virtual program for parents, teachers, and Reiki professionals who would like to learn how to use that Reiki Rickie Shares Reiki Kids manual to share Reiki with kids. That's awesome. But my next venture is going to be a little bit different, and it is a collaboration book that I am putting together. You're like one of the first people to hear about this, but I want you to participate. So I need to share this while I have the opportunity. This book is going to be called Radiating Our Reiki Light, Reiki Healing Through Real Stories from Clients, Students, Practitioners, and Teachers. So I am going to be able to send you an email very shortly with several suggestions of different topics and areas of Reiki so that you can share your story. You don't have to be a professional writer. We will be able to help you with that aspect. But if you have something that you think would benefit other people to hear in your words, we want it. The world needs it. So I'm very excited because my words for this year are collaboration and cooperation. And I think this will be a great effort to bring us all together. So please reach out to me if you're interested in that. Christian, I know I want you in this blog. You have so much to share. And from what I've heard from the other speakers on this podcast, They do too, and many of you will also, and the world will benefit from this. And we want to get this out to the world so that Reiki is a word on the tip of everyone's tongue.
Wow, Rickie, that is all incredible. Thank you so very much. What wonderful work that you continue to do in the world. So thank you for all that you do for our community, and just thank you for all that you do for the world, Rickie. So thank you. Sending
Thank
you.
you. Namaste.
Yes,
Reflecting it right
yes,
back to you and everyone who is listening. Sending
thank
much peace and love.
Yes. Rickie, thank you so much. It's been an honor to talk with you on Reiki Business Collective. I send you blessings and best wishes for your Reiki journey. And I send blessings and best wishes for everyone's Reiki journey. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share, and join in the conversation at facebook.com/groups/Reiki Biz, B-I-Z. Blessings and best wishes for your Reiki journey.